Hello. Just wanted to talk about a few things that was on my mind. I was reflecting and I realized that, and we all know this, it's easy for us to start off with good intentions and then it ends up with self-righteousness. Or just, good intention can turn into self-righteousness, whether that's like a start for the year, start for the day, whatever. Excuse me. Whatever it is. It's easy to allow your ego to seep through because your ego is always trying to control things. It's your flesh, and not having control is very scary for your flesh when, that's the only way that you've learned to survive physically. But to not be, or not even to not, but to be more aware of your ego and what it controls, you have to have like an energy that is opposing to it, like humility and calmness, trust, patience, just in life, that your life is already secure, your life is already healed. And it's a practice, but knowing that you don't have to control things, I think, is a bit more accepting that we weren't designed to control things, and reminding ourselves of the fact that we are a spirit. We have a soul. We're in a body. We aren't the body. The body is a vessel, and I think that can be more grounding for us because there's no obligation to either side. We just are. The spirit isn't tied to anything physically. It just is. So trusting the Lord and accepting, that what He says is the reality. Meaning, like, life is just how it is. We live, we breathe air, we experience life as a spirit, because of Him, which means all of the other things that He talked about is also true. There's no separation of concepts, and that it's not as complicated as we think it is. And it's easy to complicate things that you don't completely understand, again, for the same reason of control, but life is simple. Things in life may not be. Life happens, but things, generally speaking, are consistent, come from the same thing. But yeah, I just say test the spirit. If you say that, for example, maybe there's something that you want to do, and you want to do it, you have like a passion, but you're not quite sure about the feeling of it, whether it's coming from you or the Lord. Even if you strongly feel like it's from the Lord, if there's still some sort of uncertainty about like the direction of it, of where you're going, just not even that, just test the spirit, Pray against deception. Pray you aren't, deceived and that He reveals to you what the good that you will be doing, what He wants you to do, and submit yourself, submit your desires, your will to His. And get curious about the process of that, I think, if you're, get curious about the process of it, learning about Him, learning about how certain things psychologically that affect you, that make it so that it's hard for you to submit or hard for you to follow certain things, and pray about it. Get curious about the process of it, whatever that means for you. For me, that means the psychological aspect of it, because that's never really ending. And you don't only see your perspective, but you can see others' perspectives. Just thinking about that. I'm not quite sure if I'm gonna post this video, but just hyperfixating on things, your desires, things like that, It's unnecessary. Your life is going to be what it is. You can pray, desire, intend for things, ask for things, He says asking you will receive, but just remember in that process that the Lord knows what's good for you. So even if it's not what you want, if it's for His good, it will happen, or it won't. And there's good to be taken from both of it. It's not a separation. Doesn't mean if you don't get it, you've done something wrong. Life isn't necessarily black and white in terms of like good and bad. Like, what we perceive as good and bad, what we perceive as judgments and processing situations, putting them in categories, things like that. The Lord thinks about it differently than we do. So I would say not to hold on to like expectations or certain reactions, and to just remember to be, in your walk with Him and submitting to Him, even if you don't want to, even if you don't feel like you should, or you don't really want to. Don't let yourself get swayed by any other people. And I'm saying this, I don't know it all. I'm just saying things that I've learned. That's what this channel is going to be about. Things that I learned that relate to God, that relate to my walk with Him, faith, me even reading the Bible, because I haven't read it, the whole Bible, but I have read it. I do read it daily, and just certain things are helpful, when you think about everything. You don't have to know all the answers. You just have to trust in Him and keep submitting yourself to Him. Keep finding reasons to work and walk with Him rather than just yourself. It's much more beneficial to do that. This world is very temporary. Only His, thoughts and opinions matter truly, but that doesn't mean that we're always going to feel that way. We're human. We're imperfect. We're wrong. We make mistakes, and He knows that. But that's why it's important for us to do our best to walk with Him and love Him. It's not a rigidness. You don't need to be rigid about any of the decisions you make in regard to this, it shouldn't feel rigid, shouldn't feel forceful, unless that's your type of personality. But it should feel like, okay, cool, I don't want to do this, I'm curious about this, or like a passion, a pull, a push, this is what we're about to be in, you know, and like really diving into it wholeheartedly, happily, excited. Like that's how I am. Wholeheartedly excited, you know, don't really care about the outcome really. You know, obviously I can get caught up. Anybody can get caught up, especially with the ways of the world, but you know, if you remain true and faithful to Him till the end, there's nothing to worry about. And that's a whole nother concept that I slightly want to say here, just like the concept of death. I'm still processing slightly different because I used to be afraid of it, and now I'm realizing that death is not that much of a scary thing if you know the Lord. If you don't know Him, if you don't feel like you're walking righteously, if you feel like you're always anxious, paranoid, and all the things, of course it's going to be scary to you. And it doesn't mean that, like, oh, because of that you're going to hell. I don't believe that either, but I just think it's all about changing your perspective and taking the time to reflect and react less. And with that, you know, you have to be graceful and ask and be willing to hear that you're wrong, even when you're anxious, even when you don't want to hear that, you know. But yeah, just keeping a close relationship with the Lord in your walk, one that you can truly perceive and not necessarily have someone perceive it for you all the time. I don't think that's a wrong thing, but I think that it's important that we have our own personal relationships with Him so that we can't be manipulated by anybody or anyone else, anything else. Excuse me. But yes, the Lord can heal your wounds with childhood, any trauma that you've been in, you know, and that's why it's so important. Like, the Lord is all knowing. He's all there. But we have to understand Him. Know that He's not a principal or a judge. I mean, He is a judge, but He's not someone that's just like here to hold a position. They're acting like they have this position that they're holding that's of so much value, and that they really don't know the meaning of or the value of it. You know, the Lord knows, and we have to walk with Him to experience that. To experience His love. And again, it's not a separate thing like your childhood experiences, trauma, any trauma or traumatic experience you've been through is not separate. It's not separate from the Lord. You know, your life in no way is separate. Whether it's things you've lied, you've done wrong, you've done good, you've experienced good, you've done bad, experienced bad, had hatred in your heart. There's nothing that God does not know. So, you know, just be open with that. Just rock with that. Go with that. You know, openly.